Welcome to our house. This is the Screenplay Podcast. I'm your host, Evan Grenis, and with me, as always, PGA Tour player Andrew Novak.
What's up, everyone? Football season over, done. Got 6 months of no football, but it's time to look back at it.
Where are you this week?
I am back in Torrey Pines. We're playing the Genesis here, obviously, because of the fires in LA. So moved here this week.
Big tournament this week. Yeah, Genesis. That's a $20 million purse tournament, isn't it?
hmm
Is there a cut out
Yeah,
there or no?
there is a cut. Yeah,
There is a cut. All right.
yeah,
Well, good.
it's top 50 in ties through 2 rounds
All right. Good luck. You played
out of a
well
72
out
man
there. What
field.
was that? A couple of weeks ago out at Torrey. Is it just one
Yeah,
course this time, or are they using both?
yeah. We're not playing the North course one day, so all 4 rounds of the South course.
All right. Good luck.
Appreciate it.
Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at screenplay_podcast. Normally, new episodes every Wednesday, 8 a.m., wherever you listen to podcasts. Football season is over. So we're going to take a little break here. NFL draft is coming April 24th through 26th. That's Thursday, April 24th. We're going to do our NFL draft series again, but we're going to take a little break. So we'll bring that out April 16th, April 23rd, April 30th, 3 episodes, NFL draft series. We'll do that again like we normally do. May even bring in college analyst Taco, see if he has any inside information there. But yeah, that's it. It's done. Season over. When we started the season 2 podcast back in August, this is what it was all about. The Super Bowl. Well, that fantasy gambling, but you get the point. Um, yeah, so today we got Super Bowl recap. We got Screenplay Podcast Awards, and we got bold predictions going into the 25-26 season. You won't want to miss that. Let's get into it. All right, the Eagles defeat the Chiefs 40-22. I'm just gonna straight up say, what do you think of this game? I'm not gonna recap it. Everyone saw it. In fact, 128 million people saw it. It was the only thing on TV. So, what did you think of the game? What was your biggest takeaway out there?
Yeah, I mean, you can go back and listen to the pod last week. It did not go down how I expected it. I mean, you were on the Eagles, but even I don't think you expected it to quite go the way it did.
I was on the
Um,
Eagles and the Saquon under, so I mean, it went a little bit how I thought it was, but
yeah,
I didn't. I don't think I can't find anyone in the world who would have said, "Yeah, they're going to be up 24 points at some point in this game."
they were up 34 points at one
34
point.
points, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
like
mean,
I mean, it was a true beatdown. Um, I guess looking back at it, like I'm not gonna be upset or uh down on myself for picking the Chiefs because it's the Chiefs. Like they
right.
always win those games. So like they've been winning games all year. So I think the process was good there. But one of the things I had mentioned earlier this season, I thought the Steelers were maybe a dangerous, sneaky, dangerous postseason team for them because of their ability to rush the passer and how the weakest link for KC is the tackles. And that's essentially what the Eagles were able to do. They were able to just basically fire off the edges. Mahomes feeling the heat off the edges. He knows his tackles aren't that strong, has to step up. The problem is the Eagles have Jalen Carter, and you cannot step up in a pocket when Jalen Carter is pushing in your center, your guard, whatever. And they did an unbelievable job of keeping him inside the pocket and then just collapsing it from every side. Super, super disciplined pass rush, not allowing for gaps, not allowing for holes. Everybody just staying in their lane and meeting at the quarterback. I thought it was just an absolute masterclass by the Eagles defensive line. And yes, Hurts had a great game, but realistically, the Eagles D line as a unit probably deserved the MVP.
I don't think I can say it any better than what you just did. That was absolutely perfect. Yeah, the Eagles defensive line as a whole absolutely killed it. I believe they sacked Patrick Mahomes 6 times on
Mhm.
a total of 0 blitzes, which is just amazing. Vic Fangio led that defense to yeah, a great game. And the Eagles is not a team you want to get behind. We said that early. That's what happened. And then that defense just didn't let Patrick Mahomes get out. With, like you said, Jalen Carter coming up the middle, couldn't step up in the pocket. How are you going to remember this game looking back in like a year, 2 years, 10 years? Are you going to remember it as Chiefs and Andy Reid, lack of answers? Are you going to remember it as the Eagles blowout, the three-peat denied? What stands out to you the most in this game?
Um, I feel like individual moments in the game, there's nothing too crazy. Like in a game that's not a super close game, like the David Tyree helmet catch, like what does that matter if it's a two touchdown, three touchdown game, you know? So I feel like it's not going to be individual moments. It's just going to be kind of looking back a little bit how that Buccaneers Chiefs game played out, where the Chiefs had no answer for the pass rush, and Mahomes tries to go Superman mode, but that doesn't work I mean, if they're dropping 6 and 7, like guys aren't open and you're getting fired after. So I I think it was just a really good game plan by the Eagles and executed perfectly. They just flat out went out, won the game, and they deserved it.
Yeah, absolutely looked like the better team. Personally, for me, I'm gonna remember this Super Bowl as really the first one in my head that a running quarterback has won the Super Bowl. You can say Patrick Mahomes, running quarterback. Okay, in my head, Patrick Mahomes still throw first guy. He's great at the run. He can do it, but I don't think that's the first his first option. But Jalen Hurts, I mean, I'm looking back at like the quarterbacks who have won Super Bowls. Jalen Hurts is really truly in my head the first official running quarterback
Yeah.
to have won a Super Bowl. And now I mean, this is just becoming a thing. So this week, Hurts had 72 yards in the Super Bowl. That is now the record for most rushing yards by a quarterback in the Super Bowl. He breaks his own record that he set in 2023. Mahomes had that record set in 2024 at 66. Either way, one, two, three rushing yards in the Super Bowl. Records were set in the past 3 years: 23, 24, 25. Those broke records that were stood for over 20 years by Steve McNair. So what we're seeing is quarterbacks in the Super Bowl are running now. It is a thing. It is working. That's how the game is played. For years, you had to be a pocket guy to win the Super Bowl. You had to be a Brady. You had to be a Roethlisberger or something like that. But I mean, these running quarterbacks is the way to do it now.
Yeah, I mean, Hurts was good. Hurts was good in this game. He had that one bad turnover. He did have a guy in his face. His arm might have been hit, but he was pretty clean. Got made plays with his legs when he needed to. Put some good balls up there to AJ and Devontae. But like really, I mean, the defense did kind of just win this game. Like I feel like there were times when for Brady the defense was winning the game too. Like it's just how it's going to go sometimes. Like if you put yourself in the Super Bowl enough times, sometimes your team just wins you the game.
Yeah,
I don't know
absolutely.
if
But
like
Hurts into Super Bowl now, 44 of 60, 73%, 262 yards through the air, averaging 109 passer rating, averages 34 and a half fantasy points in the Super Bowl. And this is
you know,
against the Kansas City Chiefs both times. So either
yeah.
it's a
But
coincidence that he's really good against Spags, or Hurts is just actually
yeah,
like a really good quarterback, and we're not fond of like maybe the style of football that he plays.
I think Hertz is a little bit underrated. I think people like to rag on him, but I would also say that Hertz had a better game, more flashy game last time when they lost than this time. I thought he was asked to do less this time around simply because when you're up 3 touchdowns by halftime in the second half, you're going to call a game differently. Like he's not going to be asked to do a whole lot, you know? So I think obviously like different situation, but I thought he did exactly what you would, kind of require of your quarterback
Yeah.
in that kind of situation.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it proves the point. No matter how good you are at quarterback, you still need an O line. Patrick Mahomes has lost two Super Bowls, both times when he's scrambling around, and that O line is weak. Let's talk about Jalen Hurts just for one more second here. So obviously, I think top current quarterback in the NFL, number one, it's Mahomes. You can't really argue that. He lost the Super Bowl. He's still number one. That second category right below him, we have Burrow, Allen, Lamar. Is Hurts now in that category in your mind, or is he still kind of that third tier guy?
Yeah, I have it written out, and it's I've Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, Burrow. Like I think that clear four is probably ahead of Hurts. Now it's whether you're tacking him onto the bottom of that tier or not, because then you're looking at like maybe Justin Herbert, Jaden Daniels, Matt Stafford, Jared Goff, CJ Stroud. Even I know he had a down year, but like I'm putting him probably ahead of some of those guys. So it's like I think if you tier it out, I'd probably have him like closer to high end tier 3 than like hanging on to bottom of like Josh Allen, Lamar, or Joe Burrow tier. Like I think
I
I'd have him
I
closer.
almost I really I had these tiers separate. I had Mahomes on his own, I had Burrow, Allen, Lamar on their own, and then I had that third tier where you have the really, really, really good quarterbacks. But I'm starting to make a different tier system now where I'm like, all right, Mahomes is one, Allen and Burrow are two, and then I almost like Lamar. I almost like Jalen Hurts better than Lamar now. Hurts has just proven through the years like
Lam-
that he's a winner. He wins.
Hurts has been better in the playoffs. Lamar has done
But
it.
you got to consider like through college at Bama, at OU, uh, in his what is it, 4 years in the league, 5 years in the league now. He's just a consistent winner. 73% win ratio, 51 and
Yeah.
20. Uh, he, Kellen Moore
I
just
mean,
left. Jalen Hurts is now going to be on his sixth offensive coordinator in 6 years when you take him
yeah.
through these teams. Yeah, I'm just saying, like, if I got a game,
Lamar
if I got a
Lamar
game
went
one
to
on one,
Louisville.
if I got a game
Lamar
one
went to
on,
Louisville.
I know, I
He
understand
he
better
did
teams, but
not have
wait,
much around him.
one question. If you have a game to win, are you taking Lamar Jackson or Jalen Hurts to quarterback your team?
Lamar Jackson.
Are you?
Because let me tell you right now, you put Lamar Jackson on that Eagles team, you give him AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, and that offensive line, this game is even more of a blowout than 40-22. That's just bottom line. Like Lamar is that good.
Okay, fair
Lamar
enough.
does not have as good an offensive line in Baltimore as Philly does. Lamar does not have anywhere remotely close to the wide receiver weapons that Jalen Hurts has.
That's true.
I would even say Goddard is probably like on the level, probably having likely as a second tight end, maybe boost the tight end room, but like Mark Andrews definitely has fallen off a bit um, since the injury. So yeah, I mean, I think
No,
if
as far as
I
pure
mean Lamar
talent,
just has
as
never
far
even
as
really
pure,
had much of a unit around him. Obviously, like he finally had Derrick Henry, so he had somebody else on his offense that could make plays. But I'm still taking Lamar, and I'm okay if somebody wants like Hurts to be his own tier in 3 now because he has like the ring. Um,
it's not
but
just the ring. This is his second Super Bowl. Oh, and you've outplayed Patrick Mahomes twice now, not just once, but twice. So,
yeah,
and
he has
at
been
some point,
impressive.
winning and clutch moments do count for something. And is Lamar a better talent? Probably, but at some point you got to start counting those things. All right. Where do the Chiefs need to improve this offseason? O-line. I think that is most obvious thing. I think they got to prove.
Yeah,
I think first pick of the draft, there's going to be a lot of good O linemen
yeah.
there
I
available to
think
them.
specifically you got to look at the tackles. Like, I don't think Tooney kicking out to tackle really was great. Like, I don't think that's the play going forward. I think he's gonna, ideally you're kicking him back inside, have an elite interior O line, and try and build out with the tackles. I think that's the biggest need. And then obviously, like they got to sort out the Rasheed Rice situation, figure out what's going on there. And they really need to sort out Isaiah Pacheco and what they're going to be doing with him because coming back from the injury, he just looked rough. He didn't look right. Um, I think it was like a similar kind of injury of what Mark Andrews had. So maybe it's something that over time he will kind of adjust to a little bit better. Uh, he didn't have the same explosiveness, didn't look nearly as good as pre-injury. So hopefully, coming off an off season, he'll be, back to the explosive playmaker that he was before.
Yeah. All right. Let's get into the gambling. We counted two bets this week. We put a bunch of bets in prop bets, parlays, but we counted two bets, the spread and the over under. I took the Eagles and the under, so I went 1-1. Andrew, tough week for you. You had a great year, but not the
Yeah,
week you wanted to finish. You took Kansas City and the under. A lot of people did. So
I think
0-2 week for you, but
I
what's
think
that?
that's my first losing week in 2025.
I don't even know
So
if we can really count that. I mean,
no, it was. I mean, it was
we
rough. It
never,
was I was
yeah.
off.
So for the playoffs, I went 6-2-1. Helped me a little bit for the playoffs. You went 4-4-1. Overall on the year, I went 29-31-1 for a 48% hit ratio. That is not what I was looking for prior to the year. Definitely looking for something better than that. You went 35-23-2, 60%. Ooh, that is big time. When you start with a 6%, when you start with a 6 in gambling, 60%, that is good. All time. I am 71 and 60 for a 54% hit, and Andrew is 66 and 49. He is hitting at 57.4%. So as a podcast, we are still doing very well. Last week, Andrew went up and down the range, gave him some bets from the PGA Tour. I just want to read off a few of these. We are going to start with the losers of the week. Sam Stevens, Chiefs money line, Kelsey 2+ touchdowns. Couldn't be more wrong there. Nick Hardy, Chiefs money line under 48. Another wrong. And then this guy Andrew Novak, Chiefs money line under 48.5. Not great
Oh
there.
man,
0-2. But we'll move over
terrible.
to some winners. We'll move to some winners. JT Poston took the Eagles +1.5 on the right side of that. Carson Young said tails never fails. We'll give him a hit there. Will Gordon hits on the Elliott over 1.5 field goals. And Grayson Sigg said the Chiefs are done. I don't know how to quantify that, but I'm gonna give him a hit. I think Grayson
Yeah,
Sigg hits
I
for that.
think I think he was on that.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. All right. Let's go over into our Screenplay Podcast Awards. Did this last year, going to get back into it again this year. So we'll start off Offensive Player of the Year. These are our opinions. I mean, obviously players already have claimed their awards, but these are our opinions. Screenplay Podcast Awards. Here we go. Offensive Player of the Year. Who you got?
Debated a little bit, but not too long. I'm giving it to Saquon. What he did this year was spectacular all season long. Crazy impressive numbers, and I just felt like overall he was the guy this year.
Absolutely. I thought there only one answer, Saquon, especially with what was that? Hurts taking up 23 touchdowns. Like if you give Saquon some of those, even grosser numbers. All right. Defensive player of the year, who you got?
Yeah, I definitely went hot take here. I'm actually going to give it to Kirby Joseph. He got snubbed a bit down in the voting. I think he finished sixth in the actual defensive player of the year voting. I thought he was unbelievable. He was one of the few guys that actually stayed healthy for the Lions, kept things together. They had an unbelievable year. He had 83 tackles, 9 picks, crazy numbers. He was back there, captain the defense, or well, not captain, but he was running the defense from the safety spot, and awesome year for him.
I am going Xavier McKinney, 8 interceptions for Green Bay. So if Xavier McKinney is my defensive player of the year, that makes the offensive player of the year and the defensive player of the year both ex-Giants that were let go. So good job by the Giants management team there. Not a good look for them. Both your players excelled once leaving your organization. So that's a tough look.
You just like hate the entire NFC East, I feel like.
Uh,
Yeah,
yeah,
except for Washington.
as a Patriots fan though, like I'm kind of gonna hate
You're
the
gonna
NF,
hate the Giants.
I'm
You
gonna hate
definitely
the
gonna hate the Cowboys. You're
I'm
gonna
gonna
hate the
hate
Eagles.
the Commanders are just sucked forever, so I feel bad for them almost. But
Yeah,
all right,
yes.
yeah, let's keep it moving. Best story of the year.
So it's not just like a specific story, but I just think the Lions' success in general, just for what that fan base has basically been through. I mean, I have never seen a good Lions team. I'm almost 30 years old. I've literally never seen a good Lions team until this year. So I would just say in general, that was a really cool story to see. Just the fans in Detroit getting to see a bit of success and some exciting football.
I agree. I'm gonna stay in that division. I got Sam Darnold. Just the expectations of the Vikings, Sam Darnold being tossed around. Sam Darnold, Kevin O'Connell, great success, ton of wins. Didn't get the postseason success, but both Sam and Kevin really increased their stock and put some money in their bank accounts. What is the most boneheaded story of the year? There's
I'm gonna
always
go
some
with
good ones in the NFL.
I'm gonna go with Rasheed Rice, racing, crashing the car, leaving the scene, and now he's gonna have to deal with that whole situation. Dude was set up to be in a great position to have an awesome year, make himself a ton of money. Then Mahomes blows out his knee by tackling him after a pick. He's got this thing going on. This really could have been a big year for him, and it's kind of just flopped. I think, like, why are you racing on the interstate? Like, just the whole thing was incredibly stupid to me.
I'm going back to the NFC East. Everything Jerry Jones does, the Dak Prescott contract, the coaching mishap, firing Schottenheimer, the press conferences. It's nonstop. Every time I think that Jerry can't do anything worse, it gets worse. All right, rookie of the year. There was some really good freaking rookies this year. Who do you got?
Yeah, it's Jade Daniels to me. Insane year. Uh, I mean, winning playoff games with that team. I mean, the expectations were very, very low in Washington this year, and he just absolutely blew him out of the water, looking like he might be an absolute stud going forward in the NFL. So it's got to be him.
Yeah, Jaden Daniels. No question about it. I'm gonna give a shout out though. Like if you're Cooper DeJean and you're 22 years old and you just
Yeah,
pick off Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl, like where do you go? Like that's it. Like you can just wait. You can just lay down and wait for life to be over. Like that is it. You just like it doesn't get any better than that. Great rookie
yeah.
year for him out of Iowa. Coach of the year. Who you got?
Uh, you can go back and look. I was hating on this team in the offseason. I actually had their under for the season wins. Really, really poor take for me there. Kevin O'Connell and what he did with the Vikings this year was awesome. I've kind of felt like he was a pretty underrated coach. Um, I love what he's done with that offense there. Last few years, obviously Kirk had it running pretty good at times too, and it was nice to see him kind of win a bunch of games this year and get a little bit of respect that I think he deserves.
Absolutely. Same answer. He won coach of the year in real life. His preseason win total 6.5. When you win 13 games and double your preseason win total, that'll do it. Uh, we have a couple more here. Play of the year. There's really only one answer. I hope you get it right.
So I think it will be the most replayed play that you will see going forward, probably from this year. It's the Saquon reverse hurdle to
Hmm.
me. You will see that for many, many years to come.
Yeah. It might be the athletic play of the year, just in
Yeah,
sports. Great play.
yeah.
All right, some of the fun stuff here. Fantasy boom, shock of the year. Who you got?
He was drafted somewhat early, so I don't know if it's fair to call
Yeah, I
this a
mean you
boom,
can
but I
go
just didn't
anywhere
I
here.
didn't I
Yeah.
didn't expect it at all. But what Derrick Henry did this year,
Hmm.
I really slept on that. He had an insane year, got in the end zone basically every single week. It felt like um, just awesome year for Derrick Henry, and I really should have given maybe a little bit more respect at the beginning of the year. I am going to go honorable mention Jonnu Smith, especially what he was doing at the end of the year, because that was truly out of nowhere. And I mean, probably the last 8 to 10 weeks, I mean, he was essentially like a top three tight end. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll go those two.
Uh Fantasy boom of the year shock. It's a first round guy. I'm sorry, but he fell really low in the draft because people were worried preseason what was going on. But Jamar Chase hits the triple crown, sixth guy to ever do it. That means he led in receptions, reception yards, and touchdown receptions. He was the number two player in fantasy for points, but he was the only wide receiver in the top 10 in a running back heavy year. He was the only wide receiver to finish top 10 in points. So he went eighth in our draft, just great value out of a number eight
Yeah.
pick that fell there because of some media stuff prior to the season with contracts. All right, fantasy bust shock. Who is there really should only be one answer here. Who is the biggest bust of fantasy this year?
So I'm going to go with, because this was personal for my team a little
Yep.
bit. Patrick Mahomes, I thought was set up for a massive year. I thought them going out getting Worthy, them having Hollywood Brown, having Rasheed Rice. I thought he was going to have all of these weapons. I thought they were going to be able to sling it around. I thought this was really setting up to be a massive year for Mahomes, and he basically was essentially unstartable as a quarterback. Like after like 4 or 5 weeks, it basically was a better. It was better to just go pick up somebody off waivers and start him than actually playing him. And I understand like quarterbacks, go a little later in the draft and stuff, but for me, that just shocked me that he really was not putting up the numbers that I was expecting to see. I know they had some injuries to the weapons, but still, I'm gonna go Patrick Mahomes there.
All right. I'll say the obvious one. You got Christian McCaffrey. He's the
Yeah,
number one pick in 99.9% of drafts, and
yeah,
he had 50 rush attempts on the year. Oof.
yeah.
So
Yeah, I didn't
how do
want to
you
pick on a
think how
guy.
do you
I
think
didn't
that
want to pick on a
affects
guy for
him?
being injured.
No, I
Like
know.
Mahomes like played the whole year. He just flat out wasn't good.
How do
Like at least if
you
you had McCaffrey, if you had like Jordan Mason, you still kind of like probably got away with it a little bit. But
how do you handicap Christian McCaffrey for next year in your mind? It- he's still a
so
first
if
round
it's
guy, right?
yeah, I mean in that offense, like he should still eat. But like the problem is
It's the injury
for
concern
him.
and the legs. Like,
So
is
like if it's just a normal injury or something, you're like, okay, he can come back. I don't like seeing arthritis. I don't like seeing that word thrown around when you're talking about an injury or something. Like that sounds like something that's going to be hanging around. That sounds like, I mean, last time I heard people talking about that was somebody was like Todd Gurley, and that fall off was quick from his peak. So I'd be kind of shying away, but I'll be interested to see where people are still trying to value him at.
it's crazy because like he might have another year where he plays like 6 or 7 games, or like you could get him like in the bottom of the first round or early in the second round, and he's easily the best fantasy player again. So it's just
He he will probably be the biggest risk reward player taken in drafts next year, would be my guess, just because the question mark that's going to be attached to him.
yeah. All right, next season, bold predictions. What do you got here?
So we'll start off not this is not too crazy because I don't think they can win their division with how it's set up. I mean they could, but I think New England is a playoff team next year. I think they
Whoa, I
find
like
a
to hear
way.
that.
I think they find a way to get it done. I like the pieces around it. I like the coaching staff that they're putting together. So I'm gonna go New England as a playoff team. I'm not gonna stretch out and say they're winning a game in the playoffs, but I do think they put it together. Next one, this is again like not crazy because he's looking like he might go first overall in the draft, but Cam Ward is your rookie of the year. It might be a little biased there for sure, but I've watched him play a decent bit of football, and at this point, he has certain characteristics to his game that other players just don't have. Like there is something about watching a Chiefs game when the Chiefs have a 3rd and 8 and 3rd and 9, and you just know there's an inevitability of them converting the first down. That's what Mahomes does. I feel the same when watching Cam Ward play. It doesn't really matter what the score is. It doesn't really matter what the situation is. It just seems like then there's an inevitability to whatever he's going to do, it's going to work. That Miami team had a horrendous defense, but offensively, it was impressive what he did this
So
year.
you think he can
So
win rookie of the year going to either the Titans or the Browns?
correct.
Wow, he's gonna have to be pretty pretty damn good then.
Which is why I feel like it's valid for a bold prediction.
Absolutely.
Uh,
Okay.
and then lastly, another homer pick. I've got Carolina winning the NFC South next year.
Okay. Yeah. No, I'm not I think it's a long shot. I don't think that is like the craziest thing I've heard.
It's a weak division, but yeah, I've got Carolina winning that.
I
Bryce
think
Young has turned the corner. That defense is going to get sorted out a little bit in the draft, I think. And yeah, I think some special things could be in play for Carolina next year.
I like it. All right. I got the Lions missing the playoffs. Great team this year. They're the quality of their lineup is still going to be good next year. I just Green Bay is going to get better. The Bears are going to get better. Ben Johnson just took them over. I don't think the Vikings are going to be a bad team, and the Lions had 8 coaching departures. So I got the Lions missing the playoffs next year, maybe like an 8-win football team. Next bold prediction. I don't know how bold this is, but I got Seattle making the playoffs. I think they're going to be a solid team next year. Got them as a sleeper. They got a new OC coming in, Clint Kubiak, and I think they're going to be solid on the defensive side. I like Seattle to make the playoffs. And then my third bold prediction for the year is Mike McDaniel will be fired. Stephen Ross, owner, I can't see him sitting for that anymore. I see the Dolphins winning about 3 games. Mike McDaniel getting fired. That division's on the up with the Pats, the Jets. Bills are still good. I'm just like looking through the teams in the AFC. Like I don't know where the Dolphins are going to find wins next year. I just don't. So I think Mike McDaniel's time in Miami is over. It's crazy because he was such a hot coach, I think, last year. And now it's like
Yeah.
all of a sudden it's like, oh shoot, like where's he gonna be coaching?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Those are our next season bold predictions. All right, that's it for the year. Started this season back in August, and that's it. You got Philadelphia Eagles, Super Bowl champs. Kansas City Chiefs made it there, could not three-peat.
Crazy.
All right, gained a lot of followers, got a lot of attraction this year. Just want to read some of these things off for y'all. This was our 51st episode. Just got going, it feels like. We are now in 17 countries. I want to read these off for you. US, UK, Germany, Canada, China, Russia, India, Japan, Ireland, Netherlands, Malaysia, Sweden, Australia, France, Romania, Brazil, and Kenya. We're missing a country in there. You know what country I didn't say?
No, Germany.
Switzerland.
Oh,
I think we know someone in Switzerland, don't we?
oh, he hasn't been listening.
We need to see
Oh my
Switzerland pop up on there.
goodness.
All right. But yeah, I thought this was interesting. 81% of y'all are listening on your phone, 15% are listening on the desktop, and 4% of you guys are listening on a watch. And then we got 80% on iOS, 10% on Windows, and 3% on Unix. I don't know what Unix is. I think it's a European brand. Yeah, last season episodes went about an hour. This season episodes went about 48 minutes. Next season we're gonna try to cut it down a bit. We'll try to get it down about 35 minutes. I think that'll be good. But get out there, please give us 5 stars, likes, comments. I'll still be posting content over the next few weeks. Get on there at Screenplay_podcast on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Just hit 300 followers on Instagram. Keep that growing. That is like our main source of contact. Follow Andrew on the PGA Tour. He will be playing all summer. Still trying to get to Augusta, right? Trying to punch that ticket.
That's the plan. Not there yet, but working towards it.
All right. If you see Andrew out there and you're watching some golf, give him some Screenplay podcast shouts. If you got any ideas, let us know. DM us. Andrew, what do you want to tell listeners before we take a break here for a couple weeks?
Yeah, Bryce Young MVP, Carolina Panthers winning the Super Bowl next year. It'll be all exciting. I can't wait for next year. Thank you all for listening this year. We appreciate all the love, all the listens, all the likes, all that stuff. Let us know anything you want to hear, any adjustments for next year, anything like that, any sort of draft content you would like. And yeah,
All
appreciate
right.
y'all.
Yeah, appreciate y'all. April 16th, we'll be back with NFL Draft Series Part 1. April 16th, April 23rd, April 30th. We'll have our 3-part NFL Draft Series. May even throw a contest in there. We'll see. We will keep y'all updated. Appreciate y'all listening. And we will see y'all in April.